Got our first question. Filipinian, right? What is my opinion if anxiety disorder is caused by trauma or just a sensitized nervous system? Okay, so what is my opinion? Is anxiety disorder caused by trauma or just by sensitized nervous system? So, yes and no in terms of what are they caused by. So, trauma can lead to a sensitized nervous system, but your nervous system can also become sensitized even if you didn't have trauma, if that makes sense. Now, when I say that, I mean trauma as in like something truly horrific that happened to us in terms of like, if somebody was, some really unfortunate circumstances happened, if like that, or like an injury, physical trauma to the body. But to be clear, trauma is just stress felt and energies felt through your nervous system that was, where the stress reaction happened. So trauma isn't a bad thing. Trauma is just another word for stress, really. The problem happens when your nervous system can't deal with the said trauma, stress, and that stress and trauma gets stored in your nervous system that can become sensitized. Now, if I just wrap a few common ways nervous systems can become sensitized. So obviously trauma, like childhood trauma, relationship trauma, negative stuff that's happened to you. Through physical trauma, or like, somebody punched you on a car accident, body had trauma that way. Third way, your habits, right? Like, what are you eating? Are you sleeping enough? Are you smoking? Are you abusing drugs? Do you have addictions? Do you have excessive screen time usage? Like the basic things that we know we should be doing, but most people aren't, right? You neglected yourself for a while. Another common one I see is grief. So a loved one dies, or something bad happens to someone they know, and they don't process it. They don't process that loss. Emotions get stuck in the nervous system. The fifth common way I know is whenever you have a panic attack or you have an intense symptom from like, weed or THC gummy or something like that. And ever since then, the phobia and the anxiety spiral started. So that was a long answer in a couple of the common ways, but in a nutshell, yes and no. Okay, next question. How to deal with OCD and hypersastis. So what you want to understand what the difference between OCD and anxiety is. Your anxiety could just be about anything general, while OCD is when your mind is fixating on a certain specific thought, right? Now, with OCD, the same things that work for anxiety also help with OCD, right? Because basically in your brain, when you're anxious or you're in an OCD thought pattern, there's a part of your brain called your default mode network that is highly active in that moment. Anxious people, this part of the brain is also active. One, truly gain awareness of your OCD intrusive thoughts. You can use Dr. Daniel Amen's questions framework for ANTs, that's what he calls them, automatic negative thoughts. So first thing, ask, is this thought true? Right? So many people have OCD thoughts that they're going to hurt themselves or hurt someone else. Is that thought true? Well, I haven't hurt myself yet, and I haven't hurt anyone else yet, so it's not true, right? Then ask yourself, how do you feel about that thought? Be mindful about that thought. How do you feel about it? How do you feel? What do you feel in your body somatically, right? Meditation helps you notice this. Then write down, what's the opposite of this thought? How would I feel if I didn't have this thought? And then once you meditate on that, notice evidence in your life that supports the opposite of the negative intrusive OCD thought. So if you have an intrusive thought like I'm going to hurt someone else, well, find thoughts of you. What's the opposite of that? Well, I'm caring. What's some examples where you've been caring in your life? Well, I did this for this person. I have a pet. Take care of my dog. I take care of my family, my wife, my kids, whatever it is, right? And then meditate on that and rewire your OCD thoughts like that. But meditation is also important because you need to get aware of the spirals and not get lost in them. So most people don't know how to be present. There's nothing wrong with saying that. But most people with anxiety, you've forgotten how to be present, right? Okay. Next question. Lily May. Hi, I struggle with DPDR and need surgery. I need to be put to sleep with anesthetic, I'm wondering. So depends what the cause of your DPDR is and if the surgery is connected to DPDR. So guys, even if you get it, okay, a surgery is a very invasive procedure. You should really only get a surgery as a last resort. Now, I'm not a surgeon, but that's just like, general medical knowledge. Because I was considering surgery for my nose, even though most of it was caused by stress and anxiety, right? So surgery should always be last resort, in my opinion. Right? I used to work in a hospital, had friends that were surgeons. Second thing I would suggest is that what is the root cause of your DPDR? DPDR usually happens either because of some intense traumatic event or because your brain is under chronic stress and it disassociates or depersonalizes as a result. So, what's the root cause of your DPDR? And focus on that. That's in your control before going to something so extreme like surgery. Just my 2 cents. Okay, if it's separate, right, and if you're worried that the surgery will affect your DPDR, then it doesn't matter. I suggest you don't read out upon the side effects because you're more likely to manifest that through the placebo, right? So the placebo effect is where you think about something and you believe it's going to happen, and then it happens and you're like, you basically manifested it, right? You're like, oh my God, I think I'm going to have panic attack, I'm going to have panic attack. 10 minutes later, you have panic attack. Or I think this is going to make me feel this way. This is going to make me want to throw up. This is going to make me have a physical symptom. You think about it, you believe it's going to happen, you anticipate it, and then it happens, right? So if you believe it will affect your DPDR, then it will. But I suggest you'll be fine. Anesthesia is okay, normal. If it's separate, if it's connected, don't get surgery. But obviously consult your doctor. Okay. Now, next question. Okay, thank you for the badges, guys. Thank you for the reposts. Okay, Ashley, I hate having DPDR. That's fine. Have awareness of your hate and stop hating it. When you're hating it, you're resisting it, and when resist persists. So by having a negative relationship with your DPDR, you're encouraging the DPDR to stay. Instead, have love and compassion for your DPDR and see it as just another cool sensation. It's just kind of like, oh, like I'm high right now. Or some people say it feels like that, right? Okay, Jay, Lush. With DPDR, do I just live with it like it's normal and just ignore it and don't panic? So, yes, live with it like normal, but you should be doing the habits or decisions that you should be doing for your DPDR. So, try not to video game too much, watch porn, too much screen time usage, things that disassociate you from the present experience, drugs, drinking, If you're doing everything in your control that's helping your brain and your nervous system, then when the DPDR happens, let it be, allow, accept, be curious. And even if you have panicky thoughts and sensations, it's really about learning to accept them and have awareness of them so you don't get lost in the anxiety spiral. How do I recover from OCD and intrusive thoughts? Go through what I just said. Do the ANT framework. Reframe your OCD and intrusive thoughts. Is it true? How do I feel about this thought? How do I feel about the opposite of this thought? Meditate on that. Give your brain evidence of where you were the opposite of that thought. So what you're doing is you're changing your identity from negative thinking to positive thinking, but your brain is wired to be more negative, so you have to literally train your brain, like going to the gym, right? You get stronger and it becomes more natural as you keep going. Slush, how does DPDR really feel? I've never gotten a good definition of it. So what you want to understand is there's a difference between disassociation and depersonalization and derealization. They seem very, very similar. So in a nutshell, DPDR can actually feel like, you're not really in your body. You're like watching your body on TV. You're like watching through your eyes. You just don't feel connected to the, what's happening. Other ways, you don't feel connected to yourself. People can feel like they're going crazy. They don't feel like they're in their body, right? Other ways you can feel it is you can feel numb. You don't feel like you can feel emotions very well, right? People with DPDR tend to distract themselves from the DPDR. Might binge watch, binge eat. But in terms of what it feels like, that's a pretty good definition. Some people also define it as like feeling high, like on marijuana sometimes, but in the like scary way. Okay, Charlie, I've slowly been doing exposure therapy and going on walks, but it's hard to do it every day after school because I work out. Okay. So if you feel like the amount of exposure you're doing is mentally and physically exhausting you to the point where it's stopping you from taking action, then you need to give yourself enough rest. So if it's that you have the time but you're not doing it, then maybe think different. But if you find that doing it every day, right? If you find it hard to do, you're just kind of making yourself an excuse, right? Now, if you're not pushing yourself and you're in burnout, if you're nearing burnout, make it easier for yourself. So instead of every day, start every other day, right? Or whatever you consistently can do. The most important thing is you consistently do it. Okay, next question. Hey, I don't understand why my vertigo and my dizziness is constantly there. So, if nothing is wrong with your neck, right? And that vertigo, or nothing is wrong with your body medically, and the dizziness and the vertigo comes from anxiety, then learn somatic tracking to change your relationship with the vertigo and dizziness. Because when you're anxious, your brain misinterprets a lot of normal sensations. And then when you misinterpret the sensation and you start thinking you're feeling dizzy or thinking you're having vertigo, your brain literally produces those sensations in your body, right? And that makes you feel the sensations, but then you're also in fight or flight, which makes it worse. But if you're doing the things to regulate your nervous system and you are feeling better, in that case, just keep doing you and let the symptoms go whenever they naturally go away. Don't worry about when, don't worry about what day, how long it will take. When you're truly accepting, that doesn't matter. Okay, next question. Why does an intrusive thought keep occurring? I don't want it to keep occurring. So the thing that's making it keep occurring is the fact that you fixate on it and the fact that you resist it. Because you're believing and it really grabs your attention, your mind fixates more on the things that grab your attention and the thoughts you tend to think more. Because you keep thinking about this intrusive thought, you're going to have more of those thoughts. And then you resist the fact that you have those thoughts, and then you have thoughts about that, right? So the best way to deal, or one of the best ways, is to not pay attention to your thoughts and let your OCD thoughts and intrusive thoughts do whatever they want. Let your mind do whatever it wants. Just notice that you're the awareness of thoughts. Meditation is how you do that. If you want to know how to meditate, join my communities. How to overcome fear of certain numbers. Some numbers scare me and make me anxious. So with something like that, exposure, and then also the rewiring questions I just explained by Dr. Daniel Eman, the ants. So is it true? Is it 100% true? What is the outcome of this thought? Or hitting this number? How does it make me feel? What does the opposite make me feel? Can I think of evidences or circumstances that were evidence where I wasn't afraid of numbers and it didn't make me anxious, right? Change your identity to a person that isn't afraid of numbers. Harrison, next question. Is chronic itch a common symptom of health anxiety or just general anxiety disorder? So, if you've been medically checked out and there's nothing wrong with your skin, there's no itch to cause that rash, then it's anxiety, right? So it could be both. So if you feel like a health condition is linked to itching and then you suddenly get itching, then yes. And also you could feel that the itching is something wrong with your health. But then with general anxiety disorder, you also have that, like sensations. You think something is just wrong. The main thing is that your nervous system is just in fight or flight. And instead of seeing an itch as an itch, your nervous system and brain sees the itch as a problem, right? Okay. Saf, next question. Is accepting and doing what's most uncomfortable the way to overcome DPDR? So yes, but you can't, instead of just accepting it, how can you actually accept? Practice mindfulness, practice somatic tracking, practice self-compassion, right? Actually do the sessions, do the meditations. Then, yes, with exposure, the things that give you DPDR, continue exposure. And do that consistently. Hi from France, hi from here. Okay, Beth, hello. Is it normal for DPDR to cause blurred vision or make you think you're somewhere else? So, yes, because think about your nervous system, right? There's something called your peripheral nervous system, so your nervous system is literally connected to your eyes, right? So that's why DPDR affects a lot of your eyes, because your eyes is how you define yourself in the world. So what I kind of mean by that is 25% of your brain is dedicated to vision. So a quarter of your brain is just about how you see and vision, right? So it's best to let your eyes do whatever it wants to do. Do a somatic exercise with your eyes, like looking slowly to the left all the way and then slowly to the right, and to let the blurriness and the vision be there. Don't resist it, don't fight it, let it be there, let your eyes relax. Another thing you can do is called a cupping exercise that helps relax your eyes. When I noticed blurry vision when I had DPDR, because I also used to wear glasses and I had laser eye surgery and stuff, so I had a lot of anxiety about my eyes. So what you want to do is you want to just take your hands and you just want to warm them up, right? This just warms them up. And then you want to put them on your eyes, but you want to keep your eyes open. So put them on your eyes and keep your eyes open. And you just want to stare into the darkness behind your closed eyes. And your eyes might naturally close as they relax. But I always find that helped me. You guys can try it too. Hi from France. Hello. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Lisa, I'm feeling weak every night because I've had panic attacks. Is this normal? Well, of course it can be normal because your body is literally going through a panic attack and that's exhausting for your nervous system and body. So, with the panic attacks, there's things that help. Diaphragmatic breathing is the first thing I encourage people to learn how to do. If you're anxious, you probably don't know how to diaphragmatically breathe. Now, what do I mean by diaphragmatically breathing? So, most people that are anxious, we breathe from our chest and we breathe from our shoulders. So when you're diaphragmatically breathing, it's like you're breathing from your ribcage, right, to the side. So when you're inhaling, your ribcage expands and your belly moves forward, and then you take a long exhale, right? And there should be a pause between breaths. Anxious people are breathing like, why am I so anxious? Why do I feel like, and then you do everything in a rush and you're like, why am I anxious? But then if you learn to slow down your breath and you learn to just notice the breath as it is through meditation, and then you learn to actually manually practice deep diaphragmatic breathing. And then if you're having a panic attack, things like 4-7-8 breathing, box breathing, those are great to help a panic attack, right? And then if you lead anticipation towards a panic attack, you could also do the physiological sigh, which is 2 big inhales through your nose and then a long exhale out your mouth. So like, actually no, I didn't. Inhale and then hum, which is also great because that's one of my favorites. But then the physiological sigh is like, so really big inhale where you fill your lungs up to about 75%, 90% capacity, and then quick smaller inhale, then longer exhale. Okay, thank you for the heart and gift as well, guys. You're welcome, Slash. Civica, why does my stomach hurt and burn in the evening? So, could be a number of reasons. If there's nothing wrong with your gut, then, and it's, produced by anxiety, because your anxiety and your gut is connected, right? So there's nothing other, like you don't have Crohn's disease or anything like that, then, and you've acid reflux, it's due to anxiety. So it could be that anxiety is causing digestive issues because there's something called your gut-brain axis, where your gut and your brain are connected. So if you're anxious, it can affect the gut and cause gastrointestinal issues, so gut issues, and acid reflux. So that's probably why. And then what are the foods you're eating? What are you drinking? Right? Are you getting enough sleep? Are you eating before bed? Okay, next question. There was nothing wrong with me for plenty of 30 days, but then heart racing hit me out of nowhere. So, in that case, right, if there's nothing wrong with you for 30 days and then a symptom came back, that can sometimes be normal because your brain prefers anxiety if anxiety is what's familiar. So if you've had anxiety for a while and then you suddenly are healing, because it doesn't like that you're changing, it might give you an old symptom to trigger you again and get you lost in the cycle. Now the other thing is, your heart can race. It's allowed to race if it wants to. When you're exercising, your heart races, right? It's a normal reaction. When you're excited, your heart races. So you need to interpret the heart racing as like excitement and not as anxiety or a negative thing. Does that make sense? Okay. Next question. Scotto, what about DPTR? I just talked about DPTR like the first quarter of this live, so when it gets recorded and uploaded in my private community, you guys can see it for free. Jillian, I feel like I'm in permanent disassociation due to anxiety, agoraphobia. Take small steps to start healing your anxiety and agoraphobia, and show your brain that you're safe, and the DPTR will naturally go away. Do that consistently and stop your safety behaviors, and I promise you will feel better. Okay, no surrender. I'm always in fight or flight mode. It's literally impossible to be in fight or flight 24 hours a day. Literally impossible. But you might go into fight or flight, then freeze, and then not go into the parasympathetic state, unless you're in deep sleep. So, practice regulation tools. Practice slowing down, breathing, pausing, right? The physiological sigh, humming, diaphragmatic breathing, EFT tapping. Practice these throughout your day to get you out of fight or flight mode. Now, let's keep you out of fight or flight mode. What are the habits you're doing? What are the safety behaviors? Are you asking people for reassurance? Are you complaining about your symptoms? Are you constantly watching anxiety content, researching your symptoms, right? What are the safety behaviors that you're doing that's encouraging you to stay in fight or flight? After that, go actually take action and break one by one. Because when you say, I'm always in fight or flight mode, you're basically telling, and if you say that multiple times a day, you're making your subconscious mind have the identity of anxiety, and when you're healing, you want to remind yourself that you don't have anxiety. So I have one of my videos that went viral, and it was like my story, and then a part of my journey of something I did was I wrote out who I wanted to be, and then I put actual physical reminders out of it. So I took a paper, like an A4 page, a black marker, and I wrote down quotes or characteristics or affirmations I wanted to believe and become. I reminded myself of them every day and reframed, and then became who I am now. Yes, sir. A panic attack hit me 1 year ago, and I'm not feeling normal since then. In that case, what steps have you taken? Yes, sir, right? So the panic attack has triggered your nervous system dysregulation. You just have to teach your nervous system that you're safe again. Start with everything I said. What about the headache on one side for more than 2 months? In terms of physical things you can do for your headache, practice good posture. Do your neck stretches, yoga, exercise. Keep your body flexible. If there's nothing that's lacking, then and it's just anxiety, somatic tracking for your physical symptoms. In fact, you can do both. Thank you for the gift, Jazz. Hey, I'm still stuck in the DPDR disassociation shutdown. If I come out of this, will I have to go through fight or flight? So, and thank you for the roses, Salvador. Right? So, Jazz, if your nervous system's healing in a healthy way, no, right? But you might notice you might go into fight or flight, and that's okay. You become more resilient each time you do. But as your brain starts to feel safe, right? If you genuinely show it that you're safe, it helps. So one thing you can do is activate your vagus nerve. So take your finger, put it in the ear, pull down for 60 seconds, do the other side, right? And each time, and if you stay present as your nervous system comes out, there wouldn't be a reason for you to go into fight or flight, right? So mindfulness to gain awareness of those thoughts. Continuously meditate. You have to do it consistently, because if you just do it for 30 days and then quit, consistency is where you'll build the most, go into fight or flight less, and you build the most resilience. Alright guys, this was great. I love talking to you guys. If you have more questions, you can sign up to my free community and DM me on there, or book the free one-on-one call with me on there as well. But I will leave you guys be, and hope everyone has a lovely Monday. Alright, take care guys. Bye-bye.